So, hi everyone, I'm Mike from Docklands Health, and I'm here with Malcolm, our psychologist, and it's Men's Health Week, so we're discussing masculinity in particular, and how it relates to a modern society. And so Malcolm, what have you seen and experienced in recent times in relation to masculinity and men's mental well-being?
So, Mike, one of the things we know is that masculinity has an impact upon men's help-seeking behaviour. What we know is that men are less likely to seek help. And even more sort of paradoxically, the more in need a man is, sometimes it can be the less likely they are to engage in professional services, primarily because they see it as a sign of weakness. Mm-hmm. And weakness is the antithesis of what we typically see masculinity as. Mm-hmm. We know that men are often discouraged from expressing emotions. And when masculinity is seen as, or perceived as really rigid, very rule-bound, so there's only one way to be a man, what it can do is it can leave men feeling inadequate for no good reason at all. And we know that when emotions aren't expressed, it can lead to physiological symptoms like high blood pressure. It can lead to behavioural problems like expressed aggression, and also inappropriate risk-taking.
So I understand there's some barriers in men addressing masculinity. So what are some positive steps and traits that are good?
So you asked about some of the positive or protective factors that are involved, that can be drawn upon associated with masculinity. Well, in particular, some of the traits of masculinity are things like strength and courage. They are compassion, leadership, and assertion. All of those things we know are associated with positive well-being. So it's not all a bad story. But it's when we interpret masculinity as really rigid, so there's only one way to be a man, that it becomes problematic.
So what is this thing, toxic masculinity?
You asked about toxic masculinity, and well, what is it? Well, toxic masculinity is any action or activity engaged in that's all about increasing men's power. Because what in essence we're doing is fooling ourselves into a notion of being powerless, and when we do that, we know that the consequences are really negative in terms of your ability to be able to form and sustain intimate relationships. We know that there's an increase in depression and anxiety amongst men who see their gender role as really rigid. We know it can lead to substance abuse and also an increase in the likelihood of violence. So the consequences can be serious if we misinterpret what it means to be a man. So in these times of COVID-19 and a change in our routine and our roles around our family and friends, what we have all experienced is a great sense of uncertainty. And that uncertainty is founded because we can't predict what's going to happen next. Even at the level of getting up day to day to see what restrictions have been lifted, when can I go back to work, will my job still be there? One of the things that we need to work very hard to avoid is pathologizing that, to say that it's somehow wrong for us to be uncertain. Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to exercise an increased degree of control over the things that we can control. That is, i.e. become controlling, because anxiety is natural and normal in these times. Mm. It is something that we have to accept. And when we do that, and how we work with that and manage that, is we distinguish between what our worries are and what our problems are. And if we have a problem, then we need to fix it, and we need to seek support to fix it. But if it's a worry, we have to accept that we're in a position of unknowing. Mm.
Well, thank you for that, Malcolm. That was extremely informative and no doubt helpful to many people. We obviously offer a range of services here at Docklands Health, and I'm sure if people need some help, then they can come to us and chat to you and have a great health and mental well-being as a result. So thank you.